Greetings, Rotarian friends. This is Michael, and we're going to take a look at ClubRunner Bulletin. So for Bulletin editors, here we go. This is going to be kind of a quick how-to-do tour on walking through how to use that for, we in Petaluma call it our rototeller. So the Bulletin in ClubRunner, here we go. First, we need to log on to the site. Now, historically, we've been Petaluma, Rotary.com or .org, and that would take us to our existing site. So to get to our new site, we could go into Members Only, and then go click on the Welcome to ClubRunner on the members page, and that will take us there. And where it takes us to is portal.clubrunner.ca for Canada / our club number 10088. So if you wanted to, if you've already been there before, you could just go ahead and just start typing portal, and it should pre-populate on your browser. And once you're there, we would then go ahead and log in. And the membership login, we would put in our login name and our password. Since it's been used before, I can see my Chrome browser is pre-populating it and says, do you want it to go? Yes, I do. So, okay, I'll go ahead and log in. And if you have editor privileges, this would be more than a club level privilege, then we should be able to go to the bulletin page. And first thing we're going to do is going to go to Members Only, Members Directory. Once we're there, over on the left-hand side, you will see an admin, My ClubRunner Communications Bulletin, probably, something like this. And you could drill down an admin and do there, but it's just easier. Just go to Bulletin here, and you should then be able to see the different submenus, and one of them is Manage Bulletin. We haven't at this point set up the bulletin subscribers, but anyway, the first thing we want to do is we want to manage the bulletins. So once we've done that, it will take us to a page, and you'll notice that under here we have Edit Bulletins. It's just highlighted. That's the default we're at now. If we've edited a bulletin and we haven't sent it, and this is a two-stage operation, so once you say send within the edit, it hasn't really sent it. You then have to come to the actual part where it actually does do a send. It's a two-step send. So I guess you don't fire torpedoes until you say, I really want to fire the torpedo, the emails, that is. And you can take a look at the archive bulletin. So we haven't got a lot of them yet. Just got through doing the Farmers and Merchants Nights there, and we can see the dates on it there. We could go ahead and take a look at way it looks by looking at the view, and we can see that it's got our banner at the top, the upcoming events, the sponsor information, and after that is got the main body where we would go ahead and do the editing. I've got a date in it there, some text, a photo, text, photo, the typical way we do our rototeller, which is a nice fashion. Now you'll notice so far that we're taking up the full screen. You have a limited amount of real estate here. Let's call that about 800 pixels going from left to right horizontally across the screen. And it fits quite nicely, takes up a lot of space, but later on, where I want to get 2 per page, then I had to click on those and change the properties. So if it was given to you from the photographer at 800 pixels and you think, well, I maybe better make it for 300 pixels if I've got 2 of them, then the wide dimension, the horizontal, the landscape would want to be 300 per each. And it should rotationally adjust the height automatically. We'll get into that maybe. At any rate, you can see we've got some that are landscape photos here, some text. Sometimes I have some text for 2 people depending upon the situation, and I have the text before the picture. You could do it the other way, I suppose. There's myself and my wife, and here we can see these happen to be portrait mode, so little different pixel configuration is the way that was set up. I tried to put verticals and horizontals next to each other. Here's one I could have made a little wider, I suppose, but I scaled the size down to something moderate. And there's a full one, and then we've got here some more that you can see. Just have the person's names. These are some people that won the contest and just had honorable mention. Had some nice words towards the end. The editor, Clark Rosen, had given most of these, and I ad-libbed just a couple just to say, it all service above self, a little nice thing, and went ahead and put a picture of the editor hadn't included that. It was kind of optional. Underneath there, we would normally have is that for the upcoming Rotarians, what are the duty rosters, and just type that in there just by cut and paste. This section, the birthday and anniversaries, that's kind of, as long as we've got that widget, and I'll talk about widgets in a little bit, it would just come over from the system database and then the trailer. So, okay, that gives you a little bit of that. So we cannot really click back here. We can see we have the mod. We're, first of all, the one where we started, and then the one when we went into the admin and bulletin, and then over here. So we're going to go ahead and just close out this view right now. Okay, so we were in the archived bulletins, and we could go ahead and make a copy of one of those and then go ahead and work on that. That would be one way to take somebody else's, if you will, template. It's got all the pictures and things. Wouldn't take but a minute or so to probably clear it out. But let's go back over to Edit Bulletins over here. So I took the liberty of taking and making a template here. Templates, you cannot really make copies of them until you have sent them. Now you can send them just to yourself or not even actually do that second stage of the send as I talked about before, and then you can go ahead and start making copies. So once it has been sent, you can go ahead and do that step. So at any rate, we're not in the archive modes, we're in the edit mode, and you can see I've made some copies here for the time we'll all be out of town. And if we want to take a look at one of these, then we could see if we were to, well, let's just go in the edit rather than preview. So how about, say, April 13th, and we could click here or edit, takes us to the same place. And now we start to see the Bulletin Designer. And we can see that you can choose your banners. We're going to keep the banner that we have fine. It's already set up. We copied it over from a previous one. No need to mess with this sort of thing. And, oh, by the way, the theme we've got, I don't think you'll want to change that. We've got this top left theme and a top right, a main, a rototeller content, the birthdays, and then the footer. So really, all this stuff, most of it you can leave alone. Although I suppose upcoming events, as it gets changed, we could say, oh, we can take some things out. So this looks good. It's set for the 20th, but if it was the 27th, you would need the 20th, so we could just highlight it and then do a delete or enter or something like that, get rid of it, and it would go away. But we're not going to do that in this one. It looks actually pretty good. So we would normally, when you get through, we could save it, or you could go back and go to the previous page. But we're not going to save and publish yet. So we'll just go ahead and maybe go back one. So, okay, we're in the Bulletin Editor, and that was this first section, which was the upcoming events. We'll spend most of our time in the rototeller content, and this is the edit here, the pencil in the middle of it. And when we click on it, we'll see that on some of these it says, oh, you have two things to go. And this was so confusing at first. Edit the draft version, or we can abandon the draft and edit the published version. Well, the previous draft that I put, I had to publish it so we could make copies of it. It looks like this. No, we don't want to do anything with that. We want to start over with a draft. So we want to edit the draft, and you can see I have a note here. First, click on Edit Draft Version. Do not click on the abandoned draft, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to click on this version here. That's what we want to edit. Okay, and we can see that I put in the date first here, although I think we want the date up at the top. So let's copy our date, Control C, and come up here, highlight it, and paste it. So it says April 13th. But how about if we say Rototeller April 13th? So I think that's nice to have a good, clear definition of what it is. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in the main body here is we're going to be putting new text, and we're going to be putting the photos in. So this is a drag and drop paradigm. That means is that if you've got another window open and you have the photos in there, great, you are good to go. So I conveniently have one right over here, which is basically just, you know how you go down and you can click in to get a file finder for Windows, your Windows Explorer, and then you open it up to where you've got the photos. You might have done a attachment that came to you from the photographer, or however you got them anyway. And so we've got our photos. And if this was too big, just go ahead and get it to where it's something manageable. And if it turns out that you've got something where it's the wrong view, let's say it was a detail view, well, that may not be helpful to you. So go over to something like, I don't know, maybe a small icon is not going to be big enough. How about a medium icon? Yeah, that's probably enough to see. For purpose of what we'll do here, though, I'm going to go ahead and do a large icon. And let's go ahead. We don't need to see the picture large. I'm going to make it so it just kind of barely can get enough to work with here. I think that does it. Okay, so now we need to have the text. And you may get something like this. Rototeller's attached, let me know, and it came in a Word document. So, okay, whether it's text or Word, let's go ahead and open it up. And here it is. I'm going to enable editing on it. And I don't need the date again, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight the text. And then I'm going to hit a Control-C to copy to the clipboard. We no longer need this open, nor this. We're going to go back to our Rotary Club, and we're just going to put the whole thing right here. So I'm highlighting where we're going to take it to, and I'm going to do Control-V, which is a paste, and there we go. So, okay, if you want to have the text first and then the photos, fine, we can do that. If you wanted the photos first, I suppose you could start with that. We'll explain that. But let's say we start with the text. And first off, you can see in these widgets, there's some things that you can make some changes on. So, I don't know, maybe you want a different size font. You probably want to do the whole thing, but I think I used a type 15 or 14 or 16 font. So if you want to have a bigger font so it's more readable, you could do that. I guess I would suggest maybe doing it to the whole thing rather than one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I've got it all highlighted and size font. Let's go, do you feel like 16? Yeah, for myself, maybe I don't like to put on any glasses. So anyway, maybe you want 12 or 14, and you can change some of the font styles and so on and so forth. Your centering and things are up over here. But one of the things you'll want to do is let this one be your friend. This is the maximize. This is hardly any real estate. You start dragging stuff over here. So let's make this as big as we can. There we go. Now we've got some room. We can kind of see what's going on. And if you don't want it quite that big, if you want to be able to see this other window, which is where our photos are, great, all the better. So, okay, a happy crowd for Rotarians and guests and so on and so forth. And yeah, let's go ahead and put a picture. So I'm going to the end of it. I'm just going to hit a couple carriage returns to make some room. And this looks like it might be a good photo. I see some people in the room, so let's just go ahead and take it and put it over in here somewhere. So how about right there? Oh my, that's a big picture, isn't it? But maybe that's what we want. So if you wanted picture, as you saw when I got through processing, it centered it there. I should say it may be left justified. If you want it centered, you could, I suppose, go ahead and center it. But first, we probably better select it. But it looks like that's where it's going to stay. So I'm going to maybe get rid of one of these extra lines or two. So it's right up tight there. So, okay. That's fine. And then President Lee Raposa, does normal fine job. Fine. Well, let's go get a picture of Lee. And, oh, look at this. The first line looked okay, but look at this here. It says beef. So apparently, did the editor maybe have a space in there? No, I guess not. It looks like that's fine. I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe make it left justified. On that one. So if it was centered, let's make it left justified. So make some space. I'm going to get the cursor beneath it, give a couple lines, and here it looks like the picture of Lee Raposa, and we'll put that in there. And I maybe could have, when I dragged over, moved it a little bit higher, but that's okay. We'll just kind of get it close, hit a couple delete keys to get it nice and tight. One more maybe. Okay, so it's right there. Yes, got some nice words about our president, and now we're going to come up with Chad Fillinger and Bill Grover. Well, I didn't have a picture of that, so it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So you find another photo, or if you don't have a photo, you just come up with a plan B. But I think it added like, and the outstanding volunteers. So I thought, oh, well, we have volunteers. So I edited the text from our editor, and yeah, here's some things with our volunteers. Oops, maybe we ought to first make a little extra room. Okay, now we're going to pull that in. Where'd it go? Oh, I don't see it. What happens when you don't see it like this? Well, how about if you Control Z and undo? Okay, that's where we were at. So let's make sure that we got some room there. And once again, get the farmers' kids. Yeah, so we've got the Liberty School and St. Vincent School kids there. And we might have another one, but you know, I don't know. Do you want to take that much real estate up for that? Maybe you want to have less. And then there's the our staff. So let's go ahead and just make this a little bit smaller for whatever reason. Let's say we want it. So I'm double clicking on it. And oh, by the way, there's other ways to do this. You could right click and do image properties, but I think you'll find it easier to just double click on it. And rather than 800 by 533, let's say we want to only make it 400. And you see how it resized to 267? That was nice. Sometimes you'll find when you make subsequent changes, it won't keep the same ratio, but these are what? Photos, normally 4:3, so that is one thing you might change. Normally aren't going to check these others. Hit OK, and you can see that it's resized that now. So if I brought another one over, let's say I wanted the farmers and merchant, and without reading the text, I don't think it would fit, but let's do that one also. Make that 400. Yeah, see what happened? Now it's got them side by side. And if you don't want them side by side, I suppose you could go ahead and hit the cursor and get it to the end of that line. I clicked on the cursor there and then hit the left arrow on your keyboard. And now it's, if you see it, it's right in between. I suppose I could hit the Enter key and put them on separate lines, but I like that. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control Z and put it back. But maybe I want a space in between, so I could hit to get in between it again and hit a couple spaces. So you can see you can do some formatting here if you wanted to do that. You'll start to get the hang of it. It's fairly intuitive. And so at any rate, we can see that, oh goodness, here's the discussion about the food and things that these folks are doing there. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't have really put that there. Maybe I should have put it after all. So let's see, can we drag and drop? Oh yeah, we sure can, can't we? So yeah, let's go this back to 800. I hope you're getting the feel of this. See what happened after it resized once, it doesn't do other. You don't want squishy fat people, do you? So let's go for 800 by 600. And this one here, about the same. 800 by 600. Okay, good. And so on and so forth. So we could go through and do a lot more dragging over here, but just for one other, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up a little bit. And just to kind of give you the feel of some other things we can do, I'm going to erase this stuff here at the bottom. And let's get some people who are some landscape or portraits. Here's some portraits. Yeah, so let's say we wanted a couple portraits, and maybe this one here I want to bring over. And let's go ahead and bring her up. Delete, delete, delete. And, well, let's see. That's kind of big. Let's go ahead and make it about 300 width. Okay, and another one. Get Marcus in there and make his 300 also. Okay, and we can put some nice text above them. So rather than being centered, we want to get this left. And I could put something like Anne wins or whatever. Marcus 2. You know, anyway, you go ahead. If you've got it from the folks who are doing the editing, fine. But if you find you just have to do some of that yourself, great. And at the bottom, okay, if it happens to be after the 13th, the 20th, we could erase the 13th and delete that. And it looks like, what's this? We got 2 April 13th. Looks like there's a little error there on that, doesn't it? At any rate, let's go ahead and just erase that one and go ahead and look down at the bottom. Rest of it, it looks close enough. So what do we do? Well, we hit there's no way. Where do you go next? You have to once again hit the maximize to minimize to be able to save it. And oh, by the way, this is important. Do not let this window sit open for an hour, or you may find that all of a sudden it has gone away. It's logged you off, and you don't want to have a log off. That is bad news. So, okay, we're going to hit the minimize. We can see we once again have our template there for our widget that we've been working on. And if you wanted, you could take a look at it again. It's a little smaller window to work with, but here enough. You can see where you've got all the good information. And so we're going to save the draft. We don't want to save and publish yet. Okay, so once the draft has been saved, maybe I didn't click it. There, we got it. Misclicked the first time, didn't quite hit it. Okay, so we've got it back again. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this window now since we don't need to see the other. And a little bit of quickie on this Bulletin Designer. These are the different widgets that can be drug in. Some of them have been for the way we use it, but this allows flexibility to do different things. But basically, we're going to use this theme the way it's laid out. Upcoming events is at the top. Sponsors there. We'll be editing the main window. This is our rototiller information. The birthdays and anniversaries comes up through the system. We shouldn't have to touch that. It's all mechanized. The border and the footer should stay all the same. And the upcoming event, yeah, you may want to remove them as they come up with new weeks that are coming up there. Okay, so once that's done, what next? Well, you could preview the whole thing. I guess that would probably be a good thing to do to start and take a look and see how does it look. And yes, we are viewing a draft. Okay, it looks like it starts off well enough. We've got upcoming events, the links to those pages. Elsewhere in the system, we've got our sponsors over here. Well, do you like that size font? It's pretty big, isn't it? Well, I'm going to keep it. I'm okay with it. You could put a bigger heading if you wanted to here. And there's our photos, some text, photos, text. And maybe you could get rid of that line if you're really retentive and want it to be perfect. But it looks pretty good for what we did. And down at the bottom, we can see that, okay, future events coming up. And remember, we erased that duplicate of April 13th. And there's the birthdays from that other widget. They've come over. And our footer. So yeah, it looks all pretty good. So where do we go next? Publish. Okay, well, let's go ahead and publish. Are you ready to publish? Yeah, this isn't going to get sent to anybody. Don't worry about it. When you're ready to go, it applied the theme, and it applied all the widgets, and it says, okay, I'm done. So what now? Well, now we go over to send. No, this doesn't send it yet. It gets you to the window to be able to start sending, and you could go ahead and select a bulletin and go ahead and just send it out. But we're going to do it a little different way. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Edit Bulletins, the main menu, just so you get the greater picture where we started. And you could see that there is the April 13th, the one we've been working on it. And it says, okay, when you're ready to go, why don't you just hit the send button? You think that'll send it? No, it still doesn't send it. Well, what happens when we hit the send button? It says, okay, it's send, and let's go ahead and give it a subject. You think, boy, the subject we had before? No, that was just for the internal titles. So let's call this the Rototiller, and we'll call this a dash, and April 13, 2017. And that is the right date, isn't it? Thursday? Yes. Okay. And now who do we send it to? Well, if you click on active and honorary, it'll send to all those people, 78 out of 80 people. And so let's go ahead and expand this and see what is actually going on. Expand list. And this is a dummy test I've got, but you can see it goes to everybody. Doesn't go to Gary Brody. Why is that? Well, he doesn't have an email address yet. So that's why it doesn't. So you can see who it goes to, and you say, well, geez, I don't really want to send it to someone that's just left the club. Let's say this person just left the club. No, I don't want to send it to them. And you could do it that way. At any rate, let's go ahead and X out this window, and really don't want to send it to all these people just yet. Instead, what we're going to do is close that and get rid of it. No, we don't want to send it to any of those people. We want to send it to one person, maybe ourselves or somebody. You could do that. Or you could say, I don't even want to mess with this window. I just want to come down here. And by the way, send right now, or you could schedule it for a specific time. I could just send it to myself by clicking this, and that would still allow me to resend it to other people after I looked at it. But if I really want to see it, who knows? Maybe it's big photos and it's 20 megabytes. And you say, oh, I got to get smaller photos or less of them. You could just kind of check to scope out. It all works just fine. But if you did send to, let's say, to the active list, you can see now we could go ahead and hit the send button, and that will send it at this point. So that's a little bit about how to use the Bulletin Editor. But we're not going to send it just yet, so let's go ahead and go up and go back, and rather than to go ahead and instantiate sending it, let's go back to the Edit Bulletins. And if you wanted to go ahead and just have it ready and send it another time, maybe you get the text first or the photos first and you want to just kind of get it ready, you could have it go to this point, not even do that send function. You could go ahead and still edit it. You could look at the preview and see what it looks like as we saw before. And once it does get sent, if we did click that send button for who we wanted to send it to, then we could later, we want to take a look at the archives? Sure, you can go take a look at the archives, and you would then see it appear over here, just as that one we did just recently for the April 7th Farmers and Merchant Night. So I hope that helps and gives you a feel for it. Just once again, what we do is we started off by going to the login, and once we had logged in, we go over to the members directory, and when we did that, we would then click on Bulletin and Manage Bulletins. And when you did that, that took us to the Edit Bulletins. You would, if you needed to, you could use a template from one that was done before, and you could make a copy. I don't see any we can copy over here right now. We would have to go over to the archived bulletins and then say, okay, we could make a copy of one of those and give it a name that would work. And then you could come back to the Edit Bulletins. We could then go ahead and do the edit, and once we do the edit within there, we can see that you have the Widget Builder, this Bulletin Designer, and you would be working a little bit in the upcoming events, mostly in the Rototeller, and go ahead and bring in your text, bring in your photos. I might have to click on some of them by resizing them, drag and drop, have your other window nearby, which is from your Microsoft Explorer, and kind of resize it so that you can have both of them. I happen to have multiple screens, so I have mine on another screen, but I'm showing you if you only have one screen, and you know how to size these just like any window, and if it's full, you can kind of get them to where they're not full screen windows, till you can size them to your liking, and then just drag and drop them in. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and as always, feel free to give me a call. Be sure you have your credit card billing number. No, not really. But I hope that gives you some good information how to use the Rototeller Designer, or really what is called the ClubRunner Bulletin Designer, where you work with the widgets, do drag and drop, and you are good to go. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and good luck with your editing. Bye for now.